3:30 అవ్వలేదు చూసి.
A pleasant evening to all. On behalf of the management of James A. College for Women, Tenali, I, Dr. M. Miriam, the convener of this webinar and the head of the Department of Economics. Gladly welcome you all for this one-week national webinar come faculty development program on economic development in India with a special reference to Andhra Pradesh. Let us commence our webinar with a prayer song, seeking God's divine blessings.
I come before you today. There's just one thing that I want to say. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all you've given to me, for all the blessings that I cannot see. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. With a grateful heart, with a song of praise, with an outstretched arm, I will bless your name and thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Before we commence the sessions, I would like to give you a few instructions. Dear participants, please mute your audio and switch off your video throughout the webinar in order to avoid inconvenience. If you have any questions during the presentation of the resource person, please post your questions in the chat box and the queries and questions will be clarified at the end of the presentation. Thank you for your kind cooperation. I cordially welcome Dr. Sister Teresa Gade, correspondent of our college, Dr. Sister Shaini KP, the principal. Today's eminent speaker, Professor K. Madhubabu sir, head of the Department of Economics, Team CDC, Acharya Nagarjuna University, Nagarjuna Nagar, and all the participants across the country to this webinar from Faculty Development Program organized by the Department of Economics, James A. College for Women, Tenali. I would like to present the significance of the webinar. The Indian economy is 75 years old. The economy has not only grown during this period, it has diversified the production base with implications for employment and output. It has been working with globalized world for the last 3 decades now. Over the last 7.5 decades, three have been significant pragmatic changes in the discourse on Indian economic development. Small and medium scale villages, industries, agriculture and rural development, and social justice to the deprived through appropriate safety nets would constitute the bare bones of the strategy of development. Broadly, the issues, namely the growth and structural changes, inequality and poverty, employment and labor market discrimination, issues of monetary policy production, and growth in Indian manufacture, trade and openness, agriculture and food market, and gender and development are some of the prominent areas where the attention of economists is required. An assessment of the success and challenges faced by the economy is an important task before professional economists. The present faculty development program is dedicated to this task. The major sectors and areas in which the economy has progressed and faced new challenges over the period are chosen for in-depth analysis during the 7 day of FDP program. 7 eminent economists are invited to deliver lectures, and various deliver lectures are various issues of Indian economy, sectorial development, its issues and policy prescriptions, new series of economic reforms, growth with justice, status of MSMEs, digital economy and inclusive growth and pragmatic economics for welfare and social sector development in India. Now I cordially invite our beloved principal, Dr. Sister Shaini KP, to greet the delegates and participants.
Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to the National Webinar Come FDP on Economic Development in India with a special reference to Andhra Pradesh from November 6th to 12th November 2023. We are delighted to have participants from across the country join us for this event. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speakers and express my sincere gratitude to all the resource persons for availing themselves to share their expertise with the participants. I'd like to express a few points on the topic. Economic development in India with a focus on Andhra Pradesh represents a transition from a socialist to a liberalized economy. Andhra Pradesh has been significant growth in agriculture, industry, and technology with a prominent role for the IT sector. Challenges such as agrarian distress and regional disparities persist, but the state actively seeks investments, infrastructure improvements, and sustainability, emphasizing the importance of human capital and global partnership. I appreciate Dr. M. Miriam, the convener and head of the Department of Economics, for organizing this webinar. I am delighted and grateful to Dr. G. Sudagar, the coordinator, and the team, including Dr. N. Vimla Devi, Dr. Sister Amul Mary, and Mrs. K. Arnodia for leading this event. I hope this webinar provides fresh perspectives, new knowledge, and renewed enthusiasm on the topic. I wish you all fruitful and enriching deliberations during the webinar. Thank you for your cooperation and may this event be a success. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you, sister, for your warm greetings. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker, Professor K. Madhubabu, sir. He will be discussing on the topic Indian economy in the 1991s and to the 2021s. New series of economic reforms from last 10 years. Professor K. Madhubabu, sir, brief biodata by Dr. M. William. K. Kadimi Madhubabu is a professor and head department of economics at Acharya Nagarjuna University, Guntur, Andhra Pradesh. He received his Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Philosophy, and Master degree in Economics from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, in India. He led from University of South America. He started his career as a research investigator for 9 projects at Agroeconomic Research Center, Andhra University, Walter. He has 20 years experience in teaching and research in the area of agricultural economics. He has 73 publications in various national and international journals. He attended and presented 105 papers in national seminars and 7 international conferences. 21 PhDs and 3 MPhils are awarded under his guidance so far. 12 scholars are working for PhD and MPhils, and 5 postdoctoral fellows are pursuing their research work under his guidance. He published 1 book and edited 6 books. He prepared study material for online MA Economics course offered by Acharya Nagarjuna University. He is the life member in professional bodies of Andhra Indian Economic Association, Indian Society of Labor Economics, Vice President of Indian Society of Agriculture Marketing, and Joint Secretary of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Association, and Joint Secretary of South India. And he has delivered lectures for students and employees in various organizations. He is visiting professor to School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, sponsored by Ministry of HRD Government of India. He has taken up additional assignment as coordinator for UGC remedial coaching for SC, ST, OBC minority students of Acharya Nagarjuna University. He served as additional chief warden for boys hostel in ANU. NSS coordinator and UG exams coordinator of ANU. He received Best Researcher in Social Science Award in 2022 from Acharya Nagarjuna University and also received State Best Teacher Award from Government of Andhra Pradesh in 2023. At present, he holds the position of Dean College Development Council and Chairman, Board of Studies and Coordinator to Sri Babu Jagajeevan Ram Chair, ANU, and also Chairman, Board of Studies, MA Economics, Acharya Nagarjuna University. Now, I invite Professor K. Madhubabu sir to address our esteemed participants of the webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, sir.
Respected chief patron of today's one-week national webinar come FDP program on economic development in India with special reference to Andhra Pradesh. Madam Teresamma, chief patron of this program, and chairperson and principal, Dr. Sister Shaini KP, for a nice opening remarks to this organization, and convener Dr. M. Miriam, head of the Department of Economics, and co-convener Dr. G. Sudhakaraya, lecturer in Commerce, and good evening all the participants. I think the most of the students and scholars from Acharya Nagarjuna University I see on screen. A warm welcome to this webinar FDP program, and my heartfelt thanks to organizers to giving me this opportunity to give a lecture on the current important topic issue. Actually, this is the topic by topic economic development in India with special reference to Andhra Pradesh. My topic is the reference of Indian economy in the 1991 and the 2021 means economic reforms. Actually, this study is my paper is on my talk on economic reforms, but my serious focus on the lecture is the new series of economic reforms from last 10 years. Means I would like to stress on the economic reforms or whatever the economic decisions and policies were taken by the present government, that is NDA government, what the steps were taken to development of the Indian economy since last 3 years in the name of economic reforms. That's what we call our second generation, third and fourth generation of the economic reforms, right from the Niti Ayog Planning Commission abolition and Niti Ayog establishment to today's this Atmanirbhar program and other economic programs also. I would like to discuss with you through this lecture. Main focus on please mute. I would like to share my presentation through PPT. Okay, Vindana. Okay, is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, may I continue?
Sir, yes, sir, continue, sir.
Yeah, please. Actually, my lecture is on the recent economic reforms from last 10 years. I'm choosing this topic for what is happening after 2014 in Indian economy in the name of economic reforms. Actually, the economic reforms were initiated in India 1991 and are now into their 33rd year. In this period, there was hardly a day that some news or news analysis, write-up or article did not appear in the newspapers regarding the reform process. When these reforms are started in India, there is a huge and a large hesitation against the government of India in 1991 and the then government under the leadership of Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao and the then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh. They were introduced these reforms to face the problems of balance of payments. Now it is take a different turn. So that's why, but it's take a different turn and it gives the different picture to the Indian economy and it's increase the unemployment, income inequality and other all. In addition to the corona effect is also there on the Indian economy. So that's why I would like to stress on what intention by the government and at the time of the starting of economic reforms and what shape now it's taking is the another important aspect in my lecture. So in 1993, the famous economist Montague Singh Ahluwalia commented on these reforms. To understand the aspects are four important things. That is mainly the gradualism, evolutionary transition, and rapid restriction or a shock therapy. In his words, directly, an important feature of India's reform program when compared with reforms underway in many other countries is that it has emphasized gradualism and evolutionary transition rather than rapid restructuring or shock therapy. This gradualism has often been the subject of unfavorable comment by the academics and economists, both inside and outside the country. That is the direct words by Montague Singh Ahluwalia. Any economy during the process of economic development, it will take some different shapes. Suppose, for example, Indian economy seriously starting its economic journey through through planning period from 1950, 50 to 51 onwards. It has its own policies, agriculture policy, industrial policy, and service sector, and rural industrial policy. Other all, they have their own. They have the Indian economy have their own path to adopt the mixed economic system, and expand day by day, expand the public sector. That is the situation of the Indian economy up to 1991. But after 1991, it's take a different position. The main intention of the government of India is to reduce or to dilute the public sector and priorities given to private sector. With this intention, on 23rd July 1991, India launched a process of economic reforms in response to a physical and balance of payments crisis. In India, 1991, there is a serious crisis or arises in balance of payments. Our Indian foreign reserves are totally bankruptcy. In that situation, to face this crisis, our Indian economy is entering into this liberalization and privatization, globalization in the name of economic reforms. But now it's take these reforms are in a different position. To understand these economic reforms, I would like to give you some outlines about the recent economic reforms by the present government in the name of demonetization, GST, and agriculture policy, industrial policy, and other economic aspects, Atmanirbhar and the lockdown situation. All these are important aspects in this lecture. To understand that issues, I would like to give a brief note on that the necessity of these economic reforms and types of economic reforms and how to handle these economic reforms and how it is turned over to the present situation. Yes, these economic reforms are two types, that is obligatory reforms and reforms measures. These two important obligatory reforms are compulsory to face the balance of payments in 1991 situation. The LPG model, the liberalization, privatization, globalization is the another important picture of the economy to understand the intensity of the reforms in Indian economy. And these broad 33 years period of economic reforms are 25 nearing 25 years of the economic reforms are broadly we divided into the four phases. That is the first generation reforms and second generation reforms, third generation reforms, and fourth generation reforms. Mainly, the first generation reforms period is comes under 1991 to 2000, the 10 years period of the first economic reform periods, and second generation reforms is the 2001 onwards. And third and fourth generation, actually the government did not give any this third and fourth generation aspects, but to convenient, but so most of the academicians and economists are classified the remaining generation, remaining third and fourth generations are based on the nature of the implementation of economic activities. So the first, second generations economic reforms is different, and third and fourth generation economic reforms are different. Yes, as you understand that the this economics reforms as per the Manting Singh Ahluwalia, there is a gradualism and evolutionary transition that you may take the first and second generation. But the shock therapy, all of a sudden change or overnight change, expected things are happen in the fourth and second generation reforms. Let us see what are the shock therapy or what are the gradualism and other all. Maybe the gradualism and this evolutionary transition in nature of other things, and some of the reforms are definitely it is in a shock therapy definition, shock therapy reforms to the economy. We'll see. There are seven important reforms, were very notable reforms by the present government in the recent days. In the recent economic reforms, particularly in agricultural reforms, infrastructure reforms, the land reforms, labor reforms, goods and service tax 2.0 or 2, and direct tax reforms, financial sector reforms. Particularly, maybe there is a two aspects: agriculture reforms and land reforms. Maybe a part. The generally we think about the part of the agriculture sector reforms. Here, our land reforms concept and analysis is different in our economics literature. So far till 1920, 2014. But now the land reforms related to the development of infrastructure, land acquisition reforms. Land acquisition reforms. We know the land reforms is nothing but the surplus land distribution to the landless poor. That the reforms we know. Here the land reforms means the land acquisition from the landowners for the expansion of infrastructure in the name of infrastructure and economic development. These are the reverse land reforms that we will discuss that issue also. And so these seven are the very important definitions to understand the recent economic reforms by the present government. So these some of the shocking therapy are all of a sudden decisions by the present government. The first and foremost important step by the government is the most debate about economic event in the 21st century are three important aspects. One is demonetization, goods and service tax, that is GST, and recent lockdown, and the planning commission was replaced with Niti Ayog. It stands for National Institute for Transforming in India. These four are the actually, I feel it is a shock therapy to the Indian economy. All of a sudden, the government want to change the entire things over a night in the name of demonetization and other things. Let us see, we'll start with the replacement of the Niti Ayog. The government of India established the Niti Ayog as a replacement for the Planning Commission on January 1st, 2015 with Arvind Panagaria as its vice chairman. The Prime Minister will be the chairman as was in the case of the Planning Commission. Yes, here one of the most important aspect is when the government of India started its serious economic journey in 1950-51 through this Planning Commission only. But all of a sudden, the NDA government is suspended the planning commission, and they started without planning of the economic development. But of course, they are replaced the planning commission with this Niti Ayog. Niti Ayog, as usual, working as a planning commission. Usually, there is a 12 5 years plans and 3 year-wise plans, rolling 3 year-wise plans, and 2 rolling plans for worked for economic development. Since 1950-51 to 2012 to 2017, there are 12 5 years plans. Meanwhile, there is a 1966 and to 69, there is a 3 year-wise plans. And rolling plan is also was implemented by the then government by the Morarji Desai, 1978 to 1980. But these are the entire period. The 60 years of economic journey is led by this planning commission. The whatever the public sector is developed, whatever the Navaratnas and whatever the economic development is done through this planning commission only. This is the one of the important, most notable aspect by this present government. But this the another the after Niti Ayog replacement, the government of India is the four important aspects would like to share with you in this contest. The very first important after 2014, the replacing of the Niti Ayog, the most important slogan given by our Honorable Prime Minister, and then this Niti Ayog and government, NDA government, is the doubling of farmers' income. Doubling of farmers' income is a target set by the government of India in February 2016 to be achieved by 2022. Means by 2022 April, every Indian farmers get the doubling of the income. On 13th April 2016, a doubling farmers income DFI committee was set up under Ashok Dalwai, who was at that time an additional secretary in the Union Ministry of Agriculture. Dalwai stated in October 2019 that doubling of farmer income strategy will be based on increasing productivity, rational resource use, and ensuring farmers to remunerative prices. In the name of remunerative prices, to set all the marketing aspects related to agriculture, including this MSP, minimum support price things, and other all, including in these doubling of farmers' income by 2022. Now we are in the 2023. I think no commercial crops or no food grains or no other any agricultural markets, including e-marketing, is also not get any doubling of farmers' income. Reasons may be different. For this one, the government was introduced new agricultural reforms in India. We know what has happened in the implementation of agricultural reforms and other then this Punjab and from Punjab to Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all are agitate these reforms. But the Punjab farmers are strongly withstand the achieving the withdrawal of these reforms. That is also we will discuss later. So the doubling of farmers' income is one of the not achieved by the Indian economy. And the second important, the most shocking therapy treatment by the NDA government to the Indian population, Indian people is the demonetization. That is on 8th November 2016, the government of India announced the demonetization of all 500 and 1000 rupees banknotes of the Mahatma Gandhi series. It also announced the issuance of new 500 and 2000 banknotes in exchange for demonetized banknotes. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi claimed that the action would curtail the shadow economy, means the parallel economy or black money and black economy. Yeah, and they want to increase the cashless transactions, digital economy, and reduce the use of illicit and counterfeit cash to fund illegal activity and terrorism. Yeah, with these important objectives, that is moving mainly to curtail the black money or the parallel, to control the parallel economy and cashless transaction. Really, thanks to the digital economy, the cashless transaction during the COVID lockdown period and after COVID, these cashless transactions are a digital economy or play the very prominent role. It is the literacy is banking literacy is increased to utilize the cashless transactions and reduce the use of illicit and counterfeit cash to fund illegal activity and terrorism. With this intention, the government of India all of a sudden announced the demonetization, and again 2023 in the month of May, on 18th or some middle in the May, the 2000 banknotes are also demonetized. But this demonetization is not a new to Indian economy. Since 1978 and 80s also we are facing the demonetization aspects in Indian economy. But the thing is, how much currency is in the percentage of the currencies and the notes is the more important aspect. Now, in the month of May, the demonetization was taken place to demonetization of the 2000 rupees notes, but no one is affected. And before 1978 and 1980s, also no one is bothered about the demonetized the I think 1000 or 10,000 notes, because there is that the total money circulation is less than 2% and 1%. But whereas in 8th November 2016, 500 and 2000 currency notes are, I think that the more than 50% is in the circulation. Then after the demonetization, after November 18th, what is happened and how the people are suffering and how the people are losing their lives in the ATM queues and other all, we know very well, the daily newspapers and other things. This is the one of the important aspect what we want to remember in the present. This government economic part of economic reform. So that the another important aspect is goods and services tax, GST. In the name of the different slogan was given by the government, that is one nation, one tax. The goods and services, GST. The goods and services tax. The tax came into the effect from 1st July 2017 through the implementation of the 101st Amendment of the Constitution of India by the Indian government. So there is so many technicalities are involved in the implementation of this goods and services tax, because no one is expert to the clarification of the goods and services tax, so that it is not properly implemented, and it's create the so many complications and issues in the business for that is also one of the important thing. And the disinvestments, it is also a serious part of a serious part of serious part of the reform implementation of the economic reforms. That is disinvestments. The disinvestments in public undertakings in India is a process of public asset sales done by the President of India on the behalf of the government of India. It can be directly offered for a sale to the private sector or indirectly done through a bidding process. So the disinvestment is the serious part of the implementation of economic reforms. The intention of the government is to withdraw the share of the government from the where the sick units under the control of PSC, public sector units. But whereas now it is taken, for example, the selling sharing or share of the Vizag steel plant and some other Navaratnas, in the name of Navaratnas, like a coal industries and other BSNL, other all the communication aspects also, which are the PSU under the profitable profitable agencies. And even railways also, for they are trying to partially privatization of the assets. So it is also one of the dangerous belt for the PSC, public sector units. Of course, some of the public sectors may under the sick nature or sick units and are going to be closed, but the not all the PSCs, but the government to take it into the considerations of the whenever the profits are there, their investments also the dissolved or disinvestments policies implemented by the government. That is the one of the important aspects. These four, particularly these disinvestments and demonetization, goods and services, and NITI Aayog replacements are the most of the important the reforms by this present government. So from the 2014 to 2019, and now the 19 onwards, from 19 to 20, 2021, there is a serious 20 onwards. There is a serious corona natural calamity. I mean that the health calamity. And there is a in this process also in the lockdown period also they are continuing some reforms, but there is a some economic expansion activities also done through the public sector. Particularly in this aspect, here I would like to give you some economic aspects, particularly the Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana is the one of the another important financial literacy increasing activity. The PMJDY means the Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana. Jandan Yojana is a financial inclusion program of the Government of India open to Indian citizens. That aims to expand affordable access to financial services such as bank accounts, remittances, credit, insurance, and pensions. This financial inclusion campaigning was launched by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, on 28th August 2014. This is the one of the important things. The Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana is for the increasing the women financial literacy. The government wants to every woman bank account and every transaction through banks only. For this thing, the Indian government is a success. More or less, the nearly 85 and 90% of the women are having the bank account. And there is a Deepam program. It is meant for the public assets management. The Deepam means it is in a department of investment and public asset management. This Public asset management is a department of the government of India that is responsible for the management and monetization of the government's non-financial assets. Yeah, this is the one of the most important interlink between the disinvestments and financial assets. Non-financial assets aspects is the responsible for this Deepam program. And there is a IBC code is the another important, and so every day we used to observe the same aspects in the newspapers and other daily debates in the televisions or cine. This is in a different way, that is insolvency and bankruptcy code, that is IBC code in 2016. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 IBC is created with a consolidated framework that governs insolvency and bankruptcy proceedings for companies, partnership firms, and individuals to encourage the new investments and abolish the other non-financial performance institutions. For this one, the government wants to introduce this code, that is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. And here, I would like to give you two more important aspects related to the two different policies, the new industrial policy and agriculture policy. Yeah, industrial policy includes a proposal to establish a technology fund that would incentives pioneer companies in advanced technology areas and identify them for acquisition for the doing ease of business. Yes, when we are talking about the industrial policy, as economics scholars and students and economic fraternity, we know that the policies right from 1948 to 1991 industrial resolutions or industrial policies. Right from 19, I would like to this talking before this new industrial policy and role of the technology and easy doing of business and the role of government for the upliftment of the this MSME, all the MSME, all the things. Before discuss of that issues, I would like to give a brief introduction on these on the industrial policy of the government before the economic reforms. Yeah, there is a industrial resolutions in 1948, the first industrial resolution, and 1958 industrial resolution, and more particularly 1977 industrial resolution. Of course, there may be a 1986 industrial resolution is also there, but most important industrial resolution and quite important industrial resolution 1991 industrial resolution, which gives the liberalized economic policy and open floodgates for the FDI is a different. In 1948 industrial resolution, 1956 industrial resolution is a different. 1948 through 1948 industrial resolution, government wants to establish the new public sectors and expand the public PSU, public sector units. And 1956 also given the priority to heavy and large scale industries establishment. 77 industrial resolution is a different. It gives the priority to the small scale industries and village based industries priority. But whereas in 1991, that the industrial resolution is diluting the public sector and reduce the priority of the public sectors. The priority is given to the only the private entrepreneurs and private sector, more particularly FDP, foreign direct investments. With that intention, the new industrial policy was framed by this government. Mainly, this policy focuses on improving the competitiveness, achieving international scale, integration with global supply chains, and facilitating the movement of the local industry up the value chain, becoming an innovative knowledge economy, improving the ease of doing business, and creating skills and employment. So, this total, since last 10 years, the government of India is focused on the improve the competitiveness and integration with the global supply and the knowledge economy, the smart works, and improving the ease of doing business and creating the skills and employment. But then part of from the employment side, there is a little bit disheartening. We'll discuss what are the important challenges is facing now by the government of India and Indian economy. So that is the part of the industrial economic aspects, and it is the new agriculture policy. Is in the name of one nation, one market. That is the Farm Bill 2020. In the economic reforms 2020, that is the Trade and Commerce Act, Agreement and Farm Service Act, Commodities Amendment, Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. A set of agricultural reforms passed by the Government of India in September 2020. Though the bills aims to transform the agriculture sector and the rise farmers' income, they are facing a massive backlash from the opposition parties and farmers groups across the country, especially in Haryana and Punjab. Farmers have to Farmers have taken to the streets protesting against these three agricultural reforms, particularly a Farmers Producers Trade and Commerce Act 2020, Farmers Agreement and Farm Service Act 2020, Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. So, this is the most important debatable and the one of the strong agitation by the farmers to the present government from 2020 to almost all 2022 2022 January, means oddly that the 2 years the government is facing very severe and serious protest from the agriculture, from the farmers, particularly Haryana and Punjab. But of course, unfortunately, this is confined to the only Haryana and Punjab farmers. But of course, almost all these, the entire country is supporting to these farmers because of this this agriculture policy. So then, due to the lack of sufficient implementation aspects, the government is withdrawn these reforms in later, that is 2020. So these new agricultural policies are not at all favorable to the our Indian farmers and our economic system. That is the one important aspects. Yeah, the name of this ease of doing business is one of the economic development model developed by the Michael Klein and Carlos Melkes, the leading economists at the World Bank Group. In 2022, India was the world's sixth largest importer and the ninth largest exporter. It ranks to 63rd on the Ease of Doing Business Index. For this one, our Indian government is rigorously implement and adopt this ease of doing business to promote the our Indian industrial exports in the international market. So that is the another important aspects. This one with these things, there is a different economic booster or economic boosting by the government in 2020 is Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, Self-Reliant India Mission. After COVID lockdown, during the announcement of India's COVID-19 pandemic related economic package in 2020. After lockdown, our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman has announced this Atmanirbhar Abhiyan program for the upliftment and the financial support to our Indian MSME, mainly micro and small industries development. Yeah, this is the one important one. And two more important aspects two more important aspects also the notable the record that the one important things, that is Startup India and Stand Up India programs. Particularly, the Startup India is a scheme of the Government of India. It was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his speech on 15th August 2015. Startup India campaigning boost startup talent in India by providing tax exemptions with the condition. So, with the main important intention is tax exemptions with the some conditions for the development of the these things. Yeah, when we see these startup and stand-up programs, there is a 1969 MRTP Act is there, Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practice Act. The intention of that act is to control the private entrepreneurs to entering into the different production activities. But this then after reforms, our Indian government was introduced. Indian government intention is to give the tax exemptions to the so many economic activities and promote the ease of doing business in the name of Startup India. And another one is the Stand Up India. The Stand Up India was launched by the Government of India on 5th April 2016 to support to entrepreneurship among the women and particularly vulnerable groups, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. Stand Up India Loan Scheme is a government initiative launched by the Government of India in 2016 to promote entrepreneurship and facilitate bank loans to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes women and women entrepreneurs in the country. So, for the upliftment of the downtrodden sections by the government, and it gives the women empowerment. Women empowerment is the priority, and particularly in general, women empowerment, and particularly the SC/ST women entrepreneurs development in the name of Stand Up India program. That is the one thing. And another more important things are some of the infrastructure and service based related activities. That is Bharatmala Pariyojana, Sagarmala, and Uday. Other programs are there to understand the expansion of the recent economic activities by the government of India. The Bharatmala Parayojana is an ecosystem of road development which includes development of tunnels, bridges, and elevated corridors, flyovers, overpass, interchanges, bypass, ring roads, etc. to provide shortest, jam-free and optimized connectivity to multiple places. It is a centrally sponsored and funded road and highways project by the Government of India in the name of Bharatmala Pariyojana program. So, this Bharatmala Pariyojana program is meant for the particularly development of the road and road connections and road constructions. And this the Sagarmala program is the flagship program of the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways to promote the port-led development in the country by exploiting India's 7,517 kilometers long coastal line and 14,500 kilometers of potentially navigable waterways and its strategic location on key international maritime trade routes. So, to develop the port and waterways and international waterways, and particularly 7,517 kilometers long coastal line development through 14,500 kilometers of potentially navigable waterways establishment and its development of the intention with the international maritime trade routes by the government of India. This is the one another important aspects. And the another important thing is in the development of the financial turn of this the Ujjwal Vodai, that is Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Today, Ujjwal Discom Assurance Program is the financial turn around the revival packages for electricity distribution companies of India and initiated by the government of India in November 2015 with the intention to find a permanent solution to the financial mess that the power distribution is in part of the development and the power distribution things by the central government intention. And today देश का आम नागरिक उड़ान देश के नागरिक let the common citizen of the country fly. It is in a that the airlines and other related aspects know by its acronym UDAN is a regional airport development program of the government of India launched on 21st October 2016 and part of the regional connectivity schemes RCS of upgrading under-serviced air routes. That is the UDAN aspects means it's that it is in a common development of the airport and airways and air journey to the nearing to the a common people intention. This is the one aspect. And micro units development and refinance agency bank, or simply say it is very famous by Mudra Bank. The micro units refinance agencies banks is in a public sector financial institutions in India. It provides loans at low rates to microfinance institutions and non-banking financial institutions, which then provided credit to particularly the micro and small, medium and enterprises (MSMEs). So the main important intention of the government is to develop the MSMEs through Mudra banks to providing the financial assistance. So the loans to the low rates, minimum rate to the these microfinance institutions to small aspects like as a this what in addition to financial institutions and these financial institutions, particularly the agriculture reforms, the infrastructure reforms, these land reforms and labor reforms, goods and service tax, the two generations and direct tax reforms, financial sector reforms. These are all the reforms are including in these aspects. So, if you see that the economic reforms were taken by this government right from the replacement of Niti Aayog, and the slogan by the government of India is doubling of farmers' income, and the demonetization aspect, goods and services tax (GST) mean in the name of one nation, one tax, and disinvestments. Then Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana and this Deepam program, Udan program, particularly the IBC Code 2016 and the new industrial policy, new agricultural policy, Farm Bill in 2020 to 2020, and ease of doing business and Atmanirbhar Bharat, this Startup India, Stand Up India, and Bharatmala Pariyojana programs and Sagarmala infrastructure development, port-led development program, and Uday and Udan Mudra Bank services to the MSMEs and other things. These are all the a prominent reforms and a prominent steps were taken by the government of India during this 10 years period. Let us see some of the important challenges, what the problems are facing, and what the problems are so far not resolved by the government. Particularly, there are seven important aspects or serious and severe problems by the government of India. That is, let us see what is the economic growth pattern under the NDA government. Means the recent reforms, how it is impact the government of India on economic growth pattern, and how the joblessness is the how it is raises the joblessness in Indian economy, means how it is influence the jobless growth. And India is not making or exporting enough. Infrastructure building is a rare bright spot, and more people have joined the formal economy, and healthcare spending is decimal, and too many still work in farming. So these are all the very serious important challenges now facing the government of India. Let us see some of the important economic growth pattern, the things of the aspects, what the target of the government of India, and what the present situation of the government of India. Yeah, economic growth pattern under NDA government, particularly the gross domestic product GDP target is 5 trillion dollars. It is 3.6 pounds trillion economy by 2025. 5 trillion economy. Now we are in the not even 2.5 trillion economy, where the China is 15 or nearly above 15 trillion economy, or roughly the 3 trillion economy after adjusting for the inflation is a pipe dream now, particularly. And independent pre-COVID estimations for 2025 had touched 2.6 dollars trillion at the best. But now the situation is different, because due to the pandemic has shaved off another 200 to 300 billion dollars. So the 3 trillion economy is a dream. It is a dream to the Indian economy. There is no possibility in the near future. That is the one of the most important challenge by the government of India. And rising inflation driven by the global oil prices is also a big concern to the economists. So the inflationary pressures and global oil prices and other aspects, wars and other also, the another important task by the present government. So then that is regarding the this economic growth pattern is this pattern, and COVID situation is the one of the important aspect to understand the present condition of the government of India, and simply 2023. Now we are less than 2 trillion economy, not even 3 trillion economy. But is it possible to achieving the 5 trillion economy is the a big dream. So with these developmental process and GDP trends, there is a jobless growth is registered in Indian economy. Yeah, if you see that the economic growth trends from 1991 to 2011 and 16, there is a tremendous economic growth rate. Sometimes it may be a 2009 and 10 11 double digit growth rate is also registered in the official estimations and announced by the economic survey of India 2011 and 12, that period. Double digit growth rate, and every year nearly there is a 6%, 6.1% growth rate is also registered. But If you see the other side of the coin and job pattern aspects, there is a unemployment is increasing on par with the increasing of the on par with economic growth rate. Means there is a economic growth, but there is no job, there is no creation of the employment. So the economists are coined a word by this jobless growth. Jobless growth. It is the situation in 19 up to 1914 to 15 and 1916 also. Then after 1919 and 20 March, there is a severe and serious lockdown imposed by the government to control the COVID-19. So the again it will rise in the formal and informal unemployment growth rates. So it is a big challenge to the Indian government by the unemployment situation. So unemployment climbed to for the 45 years high, that is 6.1% in 2017-18, according to the last official count, and it has nearly doubled since then. According to household survey by the CMIE, a widely used proxy for labor market data. So if you see this the data aspects, you can easily understand the what the how the this unemployment situation is rising, and what the crisis is creating in Indian economy through these aspects. And India is not making or exporting enough. The Make in India, Stand Up India, and other things are boosting the economy through financial support by the government. But thing is, India Make in India, NDA government's high octane flagship incentive was supposed to turn India into a global manufacturing powerhouse by cutting red tape and drawing the investments for export hubs. But whereas the manufacturing would account for 25% of GDP. 7 years on, its share is stagnant at 15%. Worse, the manufacturing job went down by half in the last 5 years. According to the Center for Economic Data and Analysis, exports have been stuck at around 300 billion for nearly a decade. So, if you carefully examine this data, how our what is our position in the export front of scenario? So another important thing is infrastructure building is a rare bright spot. So the infrastructure, which is a very need of the hour for the development of development and speeding up of the economic growth. So without infrastructure facilities, there is no possibility of the economic development in any country. Because if you see the developed economies like America or Germany, Japan, and other industrial based economies, any economy, the infrastructure may play the very important role. As usual, it is in a economic infrastructure and social infrastructure is also play the equally important role in the upliftment of the economic development. So the NDA government has been laying 36 kilometers, means 22 miles of highways a day on an average, compared to the predecessors daily count of 8 to 11 kilometers, said Binayak Chatterjee, co-founder of infrastructure from Feedback Infra. So, no doubt in it, the present government of India is given a priority to develop the infrastructure development in the large scale. But the investment and attracting foreign investment is not as sufficient for the boosting of this economic infrastructure development. And another important disheartening thing in India is after 75 years of independence and priority to the public sector, the more people have till in the formal economy. India has leapfrogged towards becoming a global leader in digital payments. Thanks to government-backed payment system, the India government Jandan scheme has enabled millions of unbanked poor families to enter the formal economy with no frills bank accounts. So, the more people have joined in the formal economy till this that the aspects, and this healthcare healthcare that the healthcare spending, as I mentioned in the earlier my presentation, the social infrastructure, economic infrastructure as well as the social infrastructure is playing the equally important role in the upliftment of the economic development. Yeah, the like previous governments, this one has continued to neglect the healthcare. India has among the lowest levels of public spending on healthcare in the world. The economist Ritika Kher said, experts say the emphasis is on territory care at the expense of the preventive or the primary care. The most of important dimension for the economic development is particularly depends on the this healthcare system, means in the name of uh, social sector development or social infrastructure development. So what I would like to say is in this part, the recent other economic development parameters, they don't consider the increasing of the national income or then dimensions of the GDP or this development of the exports and imports is not a criteria. The gross national income, the gross national happiness, the gross national happiness is more important than the gross national income. So, government should give the priority to the happiness. How the happiness will come? The happiness will come when the food security, means the food with nutritional diets, and they reduce the infant mortality and raise the women literacy and women empowerment and upliftment of the socially backward people and backward regions development and development of the social infrastructure and economic infrastructure. Other all the playing the very important role in the economic development of a country. So the government should concentrate on the these things. I don't want to the disgrace or criticize the government present government economic policies. The present government economic policies are appreciable and a welcoming trend, and it is the important one also. But same time, the government should concentrate on the upliftment of the below poverty line and concentrate on the inclusive growth aspects also. Here I would like to give you one example for my special care, and it is not for the articulation and not for the recorded. The recent government, the Indian Railway is prestigiously introduced the Vande Bharat, highly sophisticated trains trains to important destinations between like Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad to Vizag, Vizag to Vijayawada, Vijayawada to Tirupati, and Hyderabad and Mumbai and other all parts of the country, highly prestigiously, highly sophisticated, and with high prices, the government wants to introduce these things. My question is to this thing is the any passenger trains is introduced by the government in the recent times? That is the one important things. Like for example, we are the people who are living in the between Vijayawada and this Andhra Pradesh and Orissa. There is a one famous train, Orissa and Raigada. You know the ticket rate of the Orissa Raigada passenger from Vijayawada to Vizag hardly not even 50 rupees. Whereas these Vande Bharat, highly sophisticated food supply and other all, I think nearly maybe 3,000 plus or 2,500 plus rupees. So okay, those people who are having the effort of that things, they will, the time is also precious. We accept all these things, that all the aspects, but what about these below poverty line people? What is the steps by the this government? Of course, in the reforms aspects, there is no need to bother about this rural poor and other poor sections of the society. Those who are affordable, they can live happily. That is the things. But whatever it is, in the name of Mudra and Jandan Yojana and other these things are the appreciable steps by the present government. To understand these things, that's why I mentioned the very in introduction aspects. I mentioned one important thing by the Monting Singh Ahluwalia's quotation, that is an important feature of India's reforms program when compared with reforms underway in many other countries is that it has emphasized gradualism and evolutionary transition rather than the rapid restructuring or shock therapy. This gradualism has often been the subject of unfavorable commitment by the more important advocates of reforms, both inside and outside the country. That is the direct words by the Monting Singh Ahluwalia in 1993. Means when the government of India is introduced its economic reforms in 1991, very after 1 year, he commented whether this a emphasis on gradualism and evolutionary transition or shock therapy. So some shock therapies are testing in the recent days. There is some evolutionary transition and gradualism is also going on from the part of the Indian economy. So that the anyhow these economic reforms are we have to see in the front the model of the liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Particularly in the recent times, these infrastructure reforms and agriculture reforms and financial sector reforms and direct tax reforms. GST is the most important the aspects. And another important notable thing is the Niti Ayog replacement. Planning Commission was replacing by the Niti Ayog, and not possible by the doubling of farms income is a one failure aspect, and demonetization is also, I think, deliberately. So many economists and daily analysis is also the famous economists also criticize very strongly. It is one of the failure exercise by the government of India. And goods and services tax, still it is facing the problems to this one. And disinvestments is also sometimes giving the better experiences to the PSUs. And it is useful for the Pradhan Mantri Jandan Yojana and this Deepam program and this IPC 2016 code and some new industrial policy, mainly the improving the competitiveness, achieving international scale and integration with the global supply chains and facilitating the movement of the local industry of value chain, becoming the innovative knowledge economy, particularly improving the ease of doing business and creating skills, employment, other aspects. When we are focuses on this policy, definitely it will help to improve the economic growth in India. And agriculture reforms is also need for the to develop the guaranteed paisa, means that is the MSP, the strengthen the MSP and extend of the MSP to other crops, non-commercial crops and other crops is also important as by the important suggestion to the government. And these things, the Atmanirbhar and startup and stand-up programs is a need to boosting of the economic development in the present scenario. This is about my the things. Now forum for open for the discussions. Any things? Okay, ma'am. Paul, my presentation, Miriam.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
My
Thank you, sir,
presentation.
for yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your outstanding presentation and a new series of economic reforms from last 10 years. We are grateful to you for your availability to share your valuable thoughts and insight with us. Thank you once again, sir. We have come to the end of the day one webinar. So I would like to request the participants to clarify your doubts and queries on the topic Indian economy in the 1991 and to the 2021's new series of economic reforms from last 10 years.
This is all the only opinion based aspects. If you have any different idea, you please share with us. Or otherwise, we'll close the session.
Okay, hope there is no further questions. Okay, then we will proceed to the last session of the day, expressing gratitude for the fruitful day.
Thank you.
Vote of thanks. My heartfelt thanks to the corresponding principal speaker of the day, Professor K. Madhubabu sir, and all the participants for your valuable participation in the first day of the webinar. I would like to wind up this day with a few announcements to the participants. Feedback form will be sent to the WhatsApp group and in the chat box at the end of each day. All those who are attending the webinar and filling up the feedback every day will be receiving the e-certificate end of 1 week national webinar faculty development program. So once again, I thank you all for making this day webinar very effective and successful. Hope to meet you all for the second day of the webinar tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the opportunity. And my sincere thanks to all the participants who are patiently listen. I think nearly 1 hour lecture without any disturbances. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
May I leave?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.